I just thought that, like, honestly, with the idea of it being on a controller, with the idea of it being 9v9, with the idea of it not having the same tech tree progression, what a cool concept for a wargaming branch to completely change up what their norm is. Because you can go to mobile warships, you can go to mobile tanks, you can go to PC warship, PC tanks, you can even go to console tanks, and it's still 1 through 10, with the exception of console having what you call it, Cold War stuff now. But then there's legends, and it's 1 through 7 with legendaries, and now okay, fine, cool, we've got tier 8, and admittedly, I think that's great because now we'll have a bunch of ships that we wouldn't have had otherwise. But
right. Anyway, I gotta go, gents.
Thanks for the game,
Always a
Satch.
pleasure.
Did you end your stream yet?
No, I'm going to shortly.
Oh, okay.
It's me, King Julian. Which of you is attracted to me?
Oh, are you getting me? I'm thinking about that. Perfect, thank you.
Yay.
Wonderful.
If you'd ever want to check out the stream sometime, it is shameless plug. The number 3 guysandagame.com.
Where do you stream to?
It is on Facebook.
Ah, okay.
Yes, I am not on the purple page.
Do you go to YouTube at all?
No. Though we have a YouTube channel, I don't utilize it, and I need to get better at that.
I would say so. I mean, admittedly, there's not a lot of good wargaming content creators on most of the platforms. So I don't think it really takes much to really kind of own that niche if you want to.
Well, and it's funny because you bring up a good point that we had a discussion in the CC Discord about 2 weeks ago, and Aaron spoke up. Peak spoke up. Hipper spoke up. Who else? Thatch. But Thatch just reviews. He doesn't do videos. Which you already know. But who else? Let's see. I don't remember Tack saying anything. Fat Guy Gaming or Dirty Mike D spoke up, and they all have their YouTube channels. I'm not going to discuss what their styles are like, but I'm just going to say, personally, I don't agree with the way they do it. However, that's where they've got their claim to fame. I'm a streamer, so they like their videos, I got my streams going, and you know, that's that. So I leave it to people who are better experts when it comes to that kind of content.
No, that's cool. I was messaging Blip earlier because I only really am interested in battleships, and I think right now it's kind of an interesting world as far as like the commanders are concerned. So like I think it would be nice to have someone that breaks down different types of builds and stuff like that for a lot of different players, because it's not super easy. Yeah, I think some things are straightforward. When you take a look at like Cunningham is huge, Scharnhorst is huge. You know, some people even take the idea of Jojard because of the increased pen. Then you've got Duravel, now you got Iachino. You've got so many different inspirations, and I feel like a build guide would be a really good idea. And I don't think I've ever seen anyone do it.
I could try that, but that is not my field of. I guess how I approach this game, and I approach my content. It's more of I'm good at what I do, but I like bringing other people to the table, not only for their opinions but for their knowledge, so I can share it with my entire community, where it's not just me being like, oh, well, this is how you should do your build, and so on and so forth. And again, not that there's anything wrong with that. I do it for the fun aspect. I want these people to see how much fun the game can be. And then I bring the other experts in to discuss why it can be that much fun for them. By, Thatch just knows things inside and out. And I love having him on stream for that. He can read the map. He knows how to read that situation, and look at what ships people are going to play and know how to be the best fit. Me, I'm just a straight up battleship main. I'll play cruisers, I'll play destroyers, but I'm just not that good with them. I can get by, but I'm not that good with them.
I think part of it though is that like you have him with experience in comp and tournaments, and even though mine is in tanks, I think there's a lot of carryover from that, because I feel like the way that you approach the game when you start looking at it from a competitive standpoint is completely different. You're no longer going for damage records, you're going for caps and resetting people and killing off destroyers, and like your mindset just shifts.
Right.
But I think that maybe what you do is you find someone that you have a good time with, and you could do like a dual comm commander build workshop. Because if you like the idea of streaming it for yourself, but then you get someone else that's a wealth of knowledge that has a different opinion, even if you just sit there and say like, hey, this is a cruiser light setup, and then this one over here is like a heavy cruiser AP setup, pick and choose. But I mean, I started playing World of Tanks Blitz in 2014. 2015 we got clans, and we started clan wars in late 2015. Since then, the main clan for NA for the longest time was Pramo. The feeder clan was Purple, and I was put there, and we took Purple from a laughing stock to a top 3 consistent clan for 3 years. We were known on Fort Despair for being almost undefeatable. We had a strategy that was locked down so tight that I don't think we lost more than one singular battle in a series at a time for over a year. And we didn't really alter much. We had people copying us, we had people countering us, all that stuff. And then we moved to Pramo. We started doing like the offline tournaments where Wargaming flew us out to Las Vegas. They flew us out to Seattle. I was lucky enough to go to both of those, and then they had their bigger tournament out in Belarus, in Minsk. So we did that as well. But part of it is just like, I feel like this streaming gets done a lot, and then other people put out like ship reviews or tank reviews or update discussions. But one of the things that I looked to pioneer was we have 2-person platoons in Blitz. So my brother and I ended up having almost a 2v7, which in Blitz it's only ever 7v7. So a 3v7 for a hot second became a 2v6, and we won the game. So I sent it to one of my friends who's a YouTuber that I met in Belarus, and I said, hey, we're going to send you both replays, and I want you to sync them. He's like, whoa. And I was like, yeah, watch both of them and tell me that this isn't going to be good. And so he did, and he came up with it and everything, and it turned out perfect. So I think there's ways that people can create different kinds of content. I just don't think they always get explored or pointed out.
It's really not a bad idea.
Like a 2-man division would probably be the max. Like it would be really chaotic to kind of do 3 people on one screen.
Mm-hmm.
But I think if you ended up having like a really good game where both ships stayed alive through like almost all of it, that would be a cool way to make a video. But I sent you a picture in DMs, by the way.
I did see
I don't know
that.
if you got
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. So Amazon hosted the tournament in Las Vegas and out in Seattle. Seattle had a $20,000 prize pool with first place taking the $10K check. So that was pretty cool.
Yeah, I'll have to
I
look
hope
at
that-
that. I brought the message up, but I didn't look at the message. I just brought it. I'm one of those people that if I see a notification, it's got to go because it just irritates the shit out of me. So that, and I don't want to expose anything on stream that.
Oh, you're fine. The whole thing was live streamed for us anyways, so. But I think though that one of the coolest things Legends could do is start creating comp. Because I think they have an awesome platform and I would really get my teeth sunk into it. But it doesn't seem like Wargaming is quite ready for that just yet.
To drop that on the Legends community, yeah.
Which is sad because I feel like it would be phenomenal. You could do 9v9, you could be doing 7v7, you could shrink it down into 5v5, you could do 3v3s. Like, there's any number of setups that they could do. I mean, we kind of already see it with the different game modes, you know?
Well, you're a super tester. Why not talk to Boss about that?
It's a good question. I think my biggest
'Cause
problem
he's-
is I
he
think about
Comes
these
into
things
my
when
streams
I'm
quite a
talking
bit.
with friends. Yeah, I might have to send him a message and see if we can theory craft a little bit.
No. He is.
Because even doing like a, even if you take Arena, get rid of all the upgrades and everything from like Arms Race and just do 3v3 and create it as like a tournament setup, like that would be kind of cool.
Because even when it comes to streams, like I said, I hate competing against Highfire because when he comes on, my audience will dip. And it's because they want to see him compete. Me, the only reason I get a lot in with my audience is I'll run multiple divisions and do a countdown.
Sure.
So that gets, we usually have a lot of fun when we do that. But once he comes on, everybody wants to see him competing against clans and everything. And I don't have a way to compete against that because we don't have it on Legends. And he's doing it on regular warships.
I mean, the biggest thing is they knocked out the cross-platform. So if we could get like clans by the end of the year, I think that would be a big step. And then we could have tournaments for next year.
I know they're working on
But
it.
we also...
Because Blip did say, and I apologize, I didn't mean to cut you off.
You're fine.
One of the times Boss was in one of my streams, he did say that's it's in the development stage now. So, of course, being, that's the usual, that's as much as he can say. But it's coming.
Yeah, I hope so. I think it's just like the next level of expansion, and it naturally needs to go there because once you add in crossplay, now you don't have to worry about having a friend on Xbox and PlayStation not being able to play with each other.
Right.
So that's a big deal. Then the next step to me is if you get people in clans, all of a sudden your emotional connection and your friendships start to grow, and you have a common place for people to play with each other, that builds game excitement. Even if the clans exist nothing more than a couple letters in front of someone's gamer tag and you division with them. Even if it's just that simple, that's a start. And then from there, you add in training rooms. And admittedly, training rooms on Blitz is a nightmare. But what it allows for, though, is for people to go in and practice things. And then you add in tournaments, and bang, you're in business. And it doesn't need to be full 9v9, especially not early. It could be 5v5. It could be 3v3s.
It's funny you brought that up. Many moons ago, long before streaming was ever a thing, I used to do freelance writing for a company which it was called GameSpy, which was later in the early 2000s bought out by IGN, and that dissolved pretty much all of us at GameSpy. But I had written an article about basically the importance of clans and the impact it has on gaming. And now there's so many new options that I hadn't even considered at that point in time. Like you had mentioned, that with the training rooms and I mean, competition's always been there, of course, but I was focused on FPS platforms at that point.
Sure. And I would argue that FPS platforms, in comparison, clans are really irrelevant for most of the players. I mean, how many people were playing Call of Duty competitive instead of just playing Call of Duty multiplayer?
Yeah.
But if you go to, if you go to Blitz though, or you go to console, even if you don't play the competitive side, I felt like you were doing more with people in your own clan than you would be doing in a first-person shooter. Because FPS games to me are all about individual identity.
Mm-hmm.
And even though you associate with a clan, you don't play with them.
No, you're playing for yourself.
Right, I don't feel like I would ever see, FaZe Clan rolling through COD lobbies just trying to win games and boost their stats. You don't see that. But you see it for pro clans in WoT, in World of Warships and stuff like that. You'll see triple divisions of super overpowered ships where they're just steamrolling their competition to boost win rate, because why wouldn't they?
Right.
So I don't know. I think that's the next big step for this game, and the quicker it comes, I think the better.
Giving me a lot to think about.
I try. I like to think that different perspectives are easy.
I get very much in a tunnel vision a lot of times, so it helps to have that outside resource to give me something else to think about.
I look at Blitz and I see a game within a year and a half having 7v7, having training rooms, having clans, and having tournaments already within a year and a half. I see this game more polished, sure, but in 3 years, we don't have clans, we don't have training rooms, we don't have tournaments. We just got crossplay.
Yeah.
So I think the ceiling for something like this is way higher because it's so much more expansive in some ways. But they need to want to take advantage of it as well. And if the wargaming group doesn't want to push boundaries, then I feel like it's very stagnant. And I think it's what we really had for the last 3 years. You have a new campaign ship every month or two, you get a new line. Every 4 to 6 months, you get a new map. And that's all well and fine, but that's only taking the base game that you have and continuing it
Right.
with the occasional new special mode. You haven't really expanded on the content. You've just added additional content, which is just slightly different boats. What you can do within the game hasn't really changed, and that's where I think they can do the most for the player base and growing it and having fun with it.
Let me ask you this. Since the war in Ukraine and the split that happened within wargaming as a result, and the people that were dismissed because of their views on the war and the whole 9 yards. And this is probably a little off topic, but in terms of non-content, do you think they've been more giving in the rewards players have been receiving since the war started?
I think they've definitely been better because they are trying to keep a positive image. I don't think that they've gone like too far by any means, because I'm very close with a bunch of the people for Wattby. As a moderator of the Discord, as someone that's been to 3 of their offline tournaments out of 6.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I knew staff personally. I knew other people through friends of friends and stuff like that. So I think the answer is yes. They wanted to distance themselves from all the crap over there. We were told basically that they were letting go people and giving them like exit packages, and then they were also just straight up relocating people to other countries in Europe. So I think part of that is the reason for slowdowns in progression. And while they have to slow down to start reestablishing and rebuilding everything, I think they've realized that they'd be shooting themselves in the foot if they didn't go out of their way to give back a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Because the other thing too is, although on Watt B, the NA and Asia platforms are essentially the same in size, EU is twice as big and RU is 4 times as big. So for them to split from the Russia server entirely is a huge thing for them.
Mm-hmm.
They know they're biting a big bullet in that sense in terms of player count. But I would think, though, that overall the NA and EU markets are more likely to spend. I don't know what the demographic looks like for World of Warships on console, but everyone that I've met is either American, probably British, or a couple South Africans and Australians. I'm not saying that other people from, you know, France, Germany, Italy, whatever, I'm sure
Right.
all those people play in EU as well. But I would still say that the bulk of people are still English speaking. And I think Wargaming is just playing their cards the best that they can. Like, I don't know how big Russia World of Warships is in general.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I just don't have data on it. But yeah, I think they're trying to be very careful about how they're perceived and not annoy people more than they already might be. So yeah, I think they're
Right.
being cautious.
Personally, I think it's been like a breath of fresh air. I think it's nice to dare I say how much extra you're getting now. It's a lot more incentivized to play the game.
I would agree. I think it's a step in the right direction. I think, well, I'm hoping that they don't look at this when they feel like they get through the woods enough and say, okay, going back to being what we were before.
Yeah.
I hope they look at this and say like, this is fairly sustainable. We can keep doing this.
Yeah. Oh, I think it's easily sustainable. But that's just from my perspective. From a business standpoint, I think it's easily sustainable.
Well, I feel like there's got to be some sort of, the more they put in, the more they get out too.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, there's a tipping point for that, but I don't think creating like an extra mission event or something like that is all that difficult for the rewards that they could give. At least within like Watt B, we have a battle pass, but then they do special events and stuff like that outside of it.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like the yield that they get out of that is pretty high considering how much work they put in for it.
Right.
So they might create like a special campaign where you can get a couple custom like special camos that you don't get anywhere else. And then if you start spending money, then you can get a tank. And I feel like that's a good way to go for something like this and in wargaming in general, because you can give something out to players that are cosmetic that you still want, but then if you want like a tank, a ship, or I don't know, a commander or something like that, then make it cost money. I think cosmetics in general are huge within video games, especially right now, and that would be a very easy thing to make be free, grindable, or purchasable. And I think it's underutilized. Like, it's as simple as looking at Fortnite or Rocket League.
Mm-hmm.
They have massive amounts of revenue, and you're not paying for an advantage. You're just paying for skins, for decals, for cars, for boosts, skull explosions, gun camouflages, pickaxes. It doesn't affect the actual game mechanics itself. So, I don't know. I think that'd be cool if like World of Warships started to create like more camos, more... I don't really care about the commander guises, although it is cool to see different color shells fly through the air. That's about it.
This is true, yeah.
But, if you come out with new ship camos and stuff like that would be really cool. And I think we could get behind that.
It's essentially an NFT market.
Yeah. I think the other thing too, wargaming always could be better with is, and they get burned by it on PC like every month or two, but player outreach and being involved within the community. Just having like one or two people from wargaming staff whose job is to like interact with Discord, Facebook. Like, I think the social component could be really big.
That's why it's been nice when the final boss comes in, and he loves. It's funny, and nothing against him. I totally understand. He loves coming into play when I've got a group of people, or even just to hang out with me, and then people start showing up. But he hates coming in when I'm streaming. He hates being on it. He doesn't mind when he's doing the stream, when WoW does theirs, or Legends does theirs, I should say. But he hates it. He hates popping in on other people's streams. But he's been getting better at it. I feel bad because the last two times he came in, people got really excited because, it's him, and then he starts getting bombarded with questions.
I think wargaming always, because they're a foreign company for all the people playing in America, they don't really have a presence in the way that people from the US expect or want. And I think that's a very unnatural thing for them. So all of a sudden, you know, they put 2 or 3 people out there to post every couple of days, and all of a sudden they're like, why are we getting hundreds of messages? This is so weird.
Yeah.
But, you know, it's just one of those things that, like, I think that's just something that if they adapt to it, like, it'll be better. I think they would benefit greatly from, you know, slowly but surely being a little bit more talkative or a bit more interactive. But nothing but good things, though, for the most part. I think they hire pretty decent people. Admittedly, some of the things that they come up with are not always the best idea. But, you know, we got sat down when we were at the tournament in Belarus in 2017, and we sat with the map designer and one of the tank developers, and they were just like, whatever you want to talk about, like, we've got like at least 30 minutes, like, hit us. Like, okay. So one of the talking points was the British Tier 10 medium, which is still for Blitz, is the FV4202, not the Action X. And they're like, yes, we've been playing with this. What do you guys have in mind? And we're like, well, blah, 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 blah. And they're like, oh, well, we actually thought that through, and here's what we came up with a solution, but you can't tell anyone yet. What we kind of found out is that they're ahead of what people expect in terms of like ideas and stuff like that. Like, they already have a plan and a blueprint in their mind. They need time to commit to it and like get it to work.
To execute it, yeah.
Yeah, the only thing is I think that, again, they as a company tend to play things a little bit close to the chest, and then, you know, people get impatient, don't want to wait. So I think that kind of comes back and unfortunately bites at them a little bit. But I think generally speaking, they have good like blueprints and like ideas.
Then you take the opposite action to that, or the opposite reaction to that. You have games like, again, Battlefield, where, you know, and 2042 is the perfect example. And I think my argument to this has always been EA as a publisher is just out there for such a money grab, because they know people will invest in these franchises. And, you know, push, get the game out, get it out. And then you've got, you know, these great concepts that the execution on them has turned out to be such crap that, you know, you'll get the core community in there, you'll get them to the investment, they'll get their money, and then it's like, okay, here's what we promised them. We'll give them a little bit of a taste, and then we'll just take forever to get the rest of it out. And in the meantime, we're going to reduce your staff by half. You know, because we want them to go off and start on another project. So it truly is a double-edged sword. If you play it safe, people are complaining it's taking too long. You push it out, people are complaining it's shit because it wasn't properly developed. So, and this goes back even further to what we were talking about. You just are, no matter what, you're just not going to be able to please everybody.
No. So my other passion for games is really kind of racing. So F1 and Forza. Mm-hmm. And Forza Horizons are not my thing. I always get them just because I feel like I have to.
Right.
And motorsport is really what I care about. I'm a huge endurance racing fan. I follow the IMSA series in the Americas, and then I follow the World Endurance Championship in, I guess, really the world, but mostly in Europe. And I really just enjoy the idea of having all those cars available, and then being able to race like normal road cars, and then, you know, all sorts of stuff within Forza Motorsport. And the last time they came out with one was fall of 2017. We have to wait until the spring of 2023 for them to come out with the next one. And in my mind, like, that is a far too long time period for something that was normally on like a bi-yearly release cycle.
No.
They came out with Motorsport, then they came out with Horizon, and then Motorsport, Horizon, Motorsport, Horizon. And so I think there has to be a happy medium between taking your time and developing a game to be better than ever, but also, like, you know, something faster than George R.R. Martin's book writing.
That's a pretty good analogy.
Yeah, you know, he still says it's coming. It's on the way. So, yeah, it's frustrating, I think. But part of it, though, is if you're open with discussions and you give people a little bit of a viewpoint on your roadmap, then all of a sudden they're like, oh, I'm disappointed, but at least I know what's going on.
Right.
So, again, I think the concept for Legends is fantastic. I love playing it. I think it plays really well, and there's a ton of potential. So, the bigger question is just, when do we get stuff? So, yeah, it'll be kind of fun to see where they take it. It's unfortunate that it's taken 3 years to get to where we are. I kind of feel like we could have been here within 2 years, but you never know. Moving from Belarus and having COVID probably didn't help them at all. I'm sure that set them back.
Yeah.
I'm sure it set them back at least 6 months, if not more. So it sounds like the Legends design team is relatively small. And I still don't know as to how big the player base is. With it being on console, I imagine it's potentially smaller than what it is for mobile.
Well, there was a discussion on the community board that started, I want to say last night. There's only, out of the entire player base, there's only 41 players that have all the campaign ships.
I did see that.
Yeah.
I think that's what we see in Blitz, is that there are people that are basically millionaires that happen to play the game, or they're just, you know, very financially stable and they just buy everything.
Right.
I imagine that exists here too.
I have my started playing with me right when I first started streaming Legends about 2 years ago, and his name's Tim, and he's so much fun to play with. And one of the things, when somebody new comes in to our little group and starts playing, Tim's first question is, "How many ships do you have?" And he loves throwing out the number of 300 and some ships that he has in total. So, and he's still going. Yeah, and he doesn't do it as a boasting thing. That's just him being funny. He's not doing it.
No, I would never.
But it's just, that's like, oh God, we already know. As soon as he asks that question, how many ships he got? We already know where it's going with this. So, oh man. But yeah, that's all.
I'm kind of bummed because I've essentially played World of Warships in segments, really. And for the longest time, I timed my segments super poorly because I missed I missed Udachi, I missed Jean Bart, I missed Wichita, I missed Hyde for like 2 years in a row. So there were a lot of things that like I wanted, and I just happened to not play during that time period, unfortunately.
Well, Hyde you can get now. He is available.
Yeah, I have him now, and that's all well and fine. It's just, you know, for at the time and everything, I didn't have them, couldn't get them, and so I was like, all right, well, I guess Scharnhorst is just gonna have to work.
And that's where I missed both times now that she's been out. I did not get her.
I think it's interesting because they have the Fury from the movie in Blitz, and I believe because certain things are tied to other separate companies, that they have very strict policies on selling things.
For the licensing.
That they basically,
Yeah.
they basically have to continue to like outreach them, make sure it's okay, sell it again. And so, like in something like the movie Fury, like the movie was like 4 or 5 years ago, maybe more. Like, who the hell is going to even? Who do you even reach out to be like, hey, can we sell this? So essentially, like that tank is.
Uh-oh. Really? No, there's my lag burst.
So unfortunately, I feel like they should just, whenever they make the tank and talk to them in the first place, they should just create it so that they have all the rights to it,
There's
and they can sell them whenever they want.
an anime that I grew up with that was available in regular World of Warships, and I've been poking at him. Let's bring this to Legends. In the U.S., it was called Star Blazers, but from Japan, it was called Space Battleship Yamato. And I loved that series. And they redid it. Well, I don't want to say remastered it, but they reimagined it, starting in 2015. And they've released, well, they're on the third series now. And it's nice seeing with updated animation and computer graphics and so on and so forth. But all the designs have stayed the same. They've just updated the story and everything else. And they had it. Boss told me they have the license for it still for regular World of Warships. And I got him kind of head scratching a little bit, like, is it possible? So I'm hoping that will come into Legends one day. That would be kind of neat.
I think the more collaborations they do, the better, in a sense. It just brings in more diversity. Again, even if they just create cosmetic stuff, like that would be cool. Thatch and I have been looking into the Skull and Bones game that's due to come out in the somewhat near future. And
yeah, I've been looking at that.
As someone who wants to love Sea of Thieves, I just simply can't do it, because Sea of Thieves as a game is just so boring.
Yes, I highly agree with that. It's enjoyable, but it gets
it's
boring really fast for me.
I mean, even the enjoyable part isn't like, I don't know. It's just disappointing because the potential is huge and the execution is so poor. When the biggest thing that you have for missions is fetch quests, like, you're doing something wrong. I don't know who needs to hear that, but that's not desirable gameplay, I would think. But again, that's a game that needs, like, you need to be part of factions and other stuff like that. Like, you should be able to sign in with, like, the French, or sign up with the, British Navy, or join some rogue pirate squad or something like that. There needs to be more depth, and that would help. And in a sense, I feel like Legends is sort of in a similar boat where they need to create depth. And I think the way that they do that is by expanding what you're able to do within the game.
You know, I think from my first, well, not my first video upload, but for the first video I've uploaded in a while to YouTube, I think I'm going to use our conversation since Thatch left as my first video.
Yeah, you're fine by me. Whatever you want to put up is fine.
All right.
I
Well,
think, again, gorgeous platform, want to see expansion. And that's just the next step.
well, let's hope and let's see. Wait, what's Mike going on about here? Sorry, I just got preoccupied by something in Discord. But,
Oh, you're fine.
yes, so I need to end it on that note. I
No,
have
you're all good.
my ISP's coming to visit because I've been having connection issues for the last several days, and it's been a bit of a pain with the stream,
No, it's
of
all good.
course. So I must
We'll catch up
prepare for
later.
that. I appreciate the conversation, and I have you added, so hopefully I will see you again very soon.
Yeah, no worries, man.
Awesome. I will talk to you later, sir.
Sounds good. Enjoy your day.
Alrighty, unfortunately, folks, I do need to end it. Thank you for hanging out with us. I hope you enjoyed the commentary. So I will be back tonight, 7 p.m. Eastern Time, so hopefully you will join us then. If I don't get to see you, have a great rest of your Friday. Have a great weekend, and I'll see you all on the next stream.